Hey, welcome to the Monday morning show, sponsored by Prize Picks. It's Ryan G. Hensley. I'm Grant Cohn. Niners won by 13 yesterday over the Bucks. Brock Purdy had a perfect quarterback rating, first Niners quarterback to do it since Steve Young. Joe Montana both did it in 1989. Hufanga confirmed torn ACL. Jair Brown's going to replace him. Kyle Shanahan stuck by Elijah Mitchell and was rewarded. And the Niners play the Seahawks in like 3 days. So we got all that to talk about. Plus, we got Prize Picks to play.
Yeah.
I love playing Prize Picks. I've been like rushing through it, but I want to take like a good 4 or 5 minutes playing Prize Picks because really that's the only reason I stream anymore. I like playing Prize Picks.
How is your success rate? What's your
not good? But I feel like the next one's gonna be good.
Next time, so you never know. Yeah.
Before we look ahead, let's finish with this Bucks game. I mean, when you go back and look on the schedule, you'll see 27-14, easy win. Moving on to the next one. How impressive was this win for you over the Bucks?
I mean, I think I was impressed, honestly. I mean, I think they let off the gas a little bit at the end, and I think the score was closer than the game was. I'll put it that way. And I don't think we agree 100% on this one, but I do think here's what I like. Brock Purdy has 17 passing attempts in the first half, which is trending 34 in the game. So throughout the last game, he had 26 through 3 quarters, which is also trending that same field, which is something I wanted to see from the 49ers and Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. Like, dial up this passing game, get aggressive. Brock Purdy's numbers are great. So there's really no reason to not pass more, especially when you're going against a Buccaneers defense. This is 31st, and I understand that's probably why you weren't as impressed because they're not the greatest passing defense, if we're being real here. But I like everyone was involved for the second straight week. Kittle was involved for the second straight week. Debo went off. BA went off. We saw some great defensive play. It's the Bucks. They're kind of a mid team. So I'll be more impressed when they, go beat the Seahawks, who I think are a little better than the Bucks, but especially when they beat the Eagles, who are a really good team. Then I'll be more impressed, obviously. But not much to complain about. Brock Purdy played. One thing I really liked about this win too, and I know I'm talking a lot, but one thing I really liked about this win was I got to see the pass I've been waiting for 18 starts from Brock Purdy. It's like 40 air yards, like 32 or 33 past the line of scrimmage, but like 40 in the air, down the sideline to Brandon Ayuk. I've been waiting for that pass. Haven't seen one yet, so that was great to see too. Another box was checked for me for Brock Purdy. So I was pretty impressed.
It was impressive in the sense that they won by 13 without really, to me, giving their best effort. I mean, it was 10-7, like almost at halftime. And then they had that drive. They got a field goal, gave themselves a 6-point lead. And then I thought they were great in the third quarter. Just great. I mean, 14-0. That's the Niners. They showed their standard in the third quarter. It was 27-7. And I thought, here's what, like, you have Tampa on the ropes. Tampa's on the road. Tampa's not good. Tampa knows they're about to go down. Like in fighting terms, you got this dude on the ropes. And I was waiting for the Niners to deliver the knockout punch. And they didn't. They won on points. And it's cool, man. You won on points, but I just felt like a real championship contender, like the heavyweight champion of the world, knocks out the Bucks in that instance. And I'm like looking back at my notes here. So Niners, there's that touchdown pass to Kittle at the end of right near the end of the fourth quarter. And it's like, boom, here's where you put the game away. Fourth quarter starts, and instantly there's that 41-yard throw down the middle that Jair Brown gives up. And then 2 plays later, there's the touch. There's the defensive pass interference in the end zone that gives them the ball at the 1, and there's a touchdown. So the defense folds right there. Then the next series, first plays a false start by Kyle Juszczyk. So it's like, what are you guys doing, man? Come on, deliver the knockout blow, but you guys are messing around. So you punt, and then the Buccaneers get the ball, go all the way down the field, have the ball 4th and 4 at the 12 with life. That shouldn't happen. And then Jair Brown makes a great play. Offense gets the ball back with an opportunity to put the game away. Go 3 and out. Get sacked on second down. Buccaneers come back. All of a sudden, they have the punt return. So special teams gets in the act. And then once again, at 3rd and 6 at the 9, Jair Brown makes a play. They shouldn't have had those opportunities. There shouldn't have been life. And I just like, hey, you won the game, a win's a win, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, knock them out. Knock them out.
With the Bucks, so I hear your point and I see what you're saying, and I think there's truth to it. I also though the Bucks have strengths and weaknesses, and they're not just weakness, they do have strengths, right? I think they are 6th against the run, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
They're 8th in points allowed. So they
That's
give up
true.
a ton of passing yards, but they don't let teams score. I think they're also 8th in takeaways, and I don't believe we had any. So they, they're the Bucks, and it's Baker Mayfield, and in our heads, it kind of sounds like they should just beat their ass. Excuse my language, but they have some strengths. They have some weaknesses too. But I also hear your point. I think what we want to see is, because they are so talented from a roster standpoint, is we want to see them put their foot on their neck and just beat the crap out of a team like the Bucks. When you have to go against a team like the Eagles in a couple weeks, and you're going to need to play better than you did. Brock played good, but the defense is tougher. Correct
me if I'm wrong, but remember the series where Jair Brown bats the pass down that was going to Mike Evans in the end zone? That was 4th and 4 from the 12. On 2nd and 4 from the 12, I had my notes: incomplete pass to 83, dropped. Did they not drop a pass in the end zone on 2nd down in that series? I got to go back and look. I think they might have. I'm just saying, that game was way too close. It shouldn't have been that close. And I think the Niners won by 13 because they're way more talented. Just way more talented than the Bucks, who have some. But did they out coach the Bucks in this game? Were they more prepared than the Bucks? Did they play harder than the Bucks? I
don't think they played harder. I don't think they played harder. I think that's what your complaint is, and I think it makes sense, because we want this team to be elite. They're so talented. You want them to play up to their standard.
They did last week.
Yeah, not play down to the standard of the Buccaneers. Yeah,
don't.
I see your point there. And it seems like they do that, right? It seems like they do that. They've done that all year. They played down to the standard of the Minnesota Vikings. They played down to, you just want them to step up every week like they're playing the Cowboys. When they play the Cowboys, they seem to be a different team. And that's what you want to see every week.
That they're just pacing themselves. They're like, look, we know we're the 4th oldest team in the league. We're not going to empty the gas tank every week. We're going to give as much effort as it takes to win these games. And against the Bucks, it's going to take about 17 minutes of 49ers football and, messing around. Yeah. And they won by 13. They covered the spread playing like that. So all power to them. But they know that's not good enough. They know what they did yesterday was not a championship effort. But I guess what they would say is, we're old.
Well, here's some evidence.
We will turn it on when it's time.
Here's some evidence for you, right? They know they're playing Thursday. So they had Elijah Mitchell out there in the second quarter taking, I believe, four snaps in a row. He was out there.
Yeah.
They haven't done it all year. It might have been the Thursday night game. Might have been the questioning that happened at the press conference from a guy I know. I'm not sure, but I think it was just like, hey, we don't need to be 100% to beat the Bucks. We got this. They eased in Elijah Mitchell early. They pulled off the win. Brock balled out. Ayuk balled out. It was good.
Look at it this way, though. If the Niners had really put the Bucks away in the third quarter, remember it was 27-7, and then the Niners immediately give up a touchdown. If they hadn't done that and it had just been 34-7, man, they could have sat their starters, had a quarter game, and really been giving themselves a big edge Thursday night against the Seahawks. So they're probably going to win anyway. But if they don't, you could go back to here and be like, well, that was a missed opportunity, because their defense ended up playing 71 snaps. A lot of those defensive players ended up playing a lot. Bosa. Warner.
Yeah. I've coached in the past where I have guys that don't really play, and I work them in early because I want them to play. But I probably could have just put teams out of their misery, and then they could have played more longer for the rest of the game. So, I see what you're saying. I think there's two ways to approach it. I do think, though, that the Niners look at the Bucks like, you guys are the Bucks. I feel like that's kind of how they approached it. But
everyone looks at the Bucks that way.
Yeah, right. But I feel like I see your point. They need to come at every team like they're the Dallas Cowboys, and if they do that, they would be smashing everybody. But I was impressed, man. There's a lot of things that were impressive in that game too.
It's extremely impressive. They showed who they are for a quarter. In that third quarter, they were unstoppable on offense and defense. I understand pacing yourself. I get it. It's still not even December, but they're going to need to play full 60 minutes against Philly. See if they can. Let's talk Brock Purdy. perfect passer rating. He struggled before the bye week. He had a week off. He got some rest for his arm. He watched the film. He looked in the mirror. I don't know, man. He's on fire. He was great against Jacksonville. He was better against Tampa. Has he silenced his critics entirely?
I think so. I had this thing going right now in the NFL, honestly, from a quarterback standpoint, right now this week. I think so. Like, everyone knows that I called Brock Purdy dink and dunk last year. It's been talked about over and over again. I get it. I did correct myself, said I don't think he's dink and dunk. Originally, when I said dink and dunk, what I meant was he just doesn't have that high-end arm talent. Not that he doesn't want to take shots, it's that he doesn't have that talent. Then I took that back because clearly that's the wrong definition. But I said I think his arm strength is going to hinder him at some point. So far, I've been wrong about that too. It hasn't hindered him at all. And yesterday in the game, he threw the pass that I've been waiting for. He actually threw two passes. That first one to Ayuk, when Ayuk was held, I tweeted out that was my favorite Brock Purdy pass of all time right there. And then third quarter, I had to retweet that. Correction. That is my favorite Brock Purdy pass of all time. So he's continuing to check boxes. The guy's playing good, zero question about it. He's checking boxes as far as like his arm talent, his arm strength is by far good enough. If you can throw 40 yards down the sideline, that's all you need from a quarterback. You don't need Kaepernick who's throwing 60 yards. So I was wrong about it hindering him. There's one test left for that guy, which is, can you put the team on your back and carry him into victory when you're behind? We don't know that yet, but every time I've doubted him, he's proved me wrong. So I really don't want to doubt him at this point anymore because he has proved me wrong multiple times, you know?
Yeah. No, I think the limitation with him, I mean, the issue with him isn't probably physical. Although Kyle Shanahan is aware of it. Like he said Baker Mayfield could take 3 hitches, throw the ball 60 yards. You know, he said today, you know, can Brock take 3 hitches and throw the ball 70 yards and a Hail Mary? Probably not. So it's like, okay, so his head coach knows that. He did say that today in the conference. Can he take 3 hitches and throw the ball 70 yards and a Hail Mary? Probably not. It's like
that was my original adjustment of Brock. And I don't think I was wrong about that. Yeah.
And I think what Kyle's saying is like, sure, like maybe not, you know, but that's not part of the offense. Like what we ask him to do in our offense, he can execute. Right. Fine. But you have to acknowledge that he's in the best situation or one of the best situations. Jalen Hurts too. This applies to Jalen Hurts. But your defense is killer. You have your left tackle's killer. Your running back, all your weapons are great. So it's hard to differentiate. It's hard to tell what exactly you bring to the table or how important you are because you're never losing. Like Baker Mayfield yesterday, Brock was better than him. But Baker was on the inferior team. Baker was on the road. Baker was trailing the whole time. Baker didn't have a run game. Baker didn't have a defense like that. And he battled. Like, what happens if you switch him? Baker probably would have had a great game and Purdy would have battled too. I don't know what it would have looked like, but I think it's important to remember that the guy's on a great freaking team. And when you take away a couple players and he doesn't have that kind of advantage, and maybe he falls behind out of bad luck or whatever, that's the test now. And I think the fourth quarter is the test. But again, like he's very rarely in close games in the fourth quarter anyway. And that's partly a testament to him.
I think it's fair to say that he's in the best top 2 or 3 situations from an offensive standpoint in the NFL. I think Hurts, Tua on the Dolphins from an offensive standpoint, and Brock Purdy. I think those are your 3 guys that are in the best offensive situations you could possibly be in as a quarterback. I think it's fair to say that, and that's true. I also think it's fair to say that he's executing perfectly right now with what he's being asked to do. I'm also going to
put Mahomes in there too. Even though he doesn't have the high-profile weapons, he's got a nice offensive line. He's got a great tight end and the best coach.
Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
So I'm going to throw Mahomes in there too. Those 4. Yeah.
That's true. So, and you know, we always give Mahomes his flowers. He's won 3 Super Bowls, though he deserves it. But I think it's fair to say that, though. He's in a great situation, but he's also executing perfectly.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't really knock him until he shows that he can't. Now, when it would be a problem is if you're like Jimmy Garoppolo, who's in a great situation and still can't execute, right? So we know he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, which is great for me. Niners almost won a Super Bowl with that guy. So I feel like I feel more confident they can do it with Brock. And I didn't think he could make the pass he made yesterday. He did it. I haven't seen him come back and win yet. And part of me thinks he's probably going to do that at some point too, because every time I doubt him, he does. It's Grant. Is it me or Grant that are paused? One of us are gone. Is it me? You guys let me know in the chat. Is it me or is it Grant that is completely
I'm back.
paused?
I'm
Oh,
back.
it's you.
I'm back. Sorry
All
about
right.
that. I don't know what happened.
All right. I thought it was me. It's usually me when that happens.
No, I'm back. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix this. Do I look any better or am I like digital?
You're a
Am I
little
like analog?
blurry,
Okay.
but you're back. Yeah.
All right, I'm cool. All right. I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like people be like, why are you nitpicking Brock? I mean, he's winning by a lot. Like, that's the point of the game. Sure, but it's not going to be like that forever. Like, let's not be prisoners of the moment. He lost Trent Williams and everything changed. If Trent Williams is gone, everything changes with this team. And I think
Yes,
a great quarterback, because people are saying like, okay, 158.3, he's a great quarterback. All right, man, hold on. I don't even think Kyle would say that. A great quarterback is the kind of guy who, when the team isn't that great, he's great.
Yeah.
You know, when the defense isn't there that week, he brings them back. Brock hasn't shown that he's that guy yet. He's not getting in the way and he's adding to the victories, but he hasn't shown that he can like pick up the slack when someone's out at all.
Let me play what's it called? Devil's advocate here. Yes, you're right. But he's a young dude and doesn't mean he can't become that.
No, it doesn't mean he can't at all. No.
Yeah. So it's still, that's what
I think scares me about it though. All of his good qualities, I feel like, turn into scary qualities when he's down. Like when he's losing, when he's winning, he's a play action passer. He can roll left and right. He can throw his anticipation. Kyle can scheme people open. Everyone's leaning on the run game. When he's trailing, all of a sudden, he's just dropping straight back and throwing. There's no play action. There's no rolling out. There's no running. And how he's trying to like beat coverages with anticipation. And he doesn't throw with a lot of zip. And sometimes he's right and sometimes he's wrong. And I think that's where the turnovers come through. But it's like, how often is he really in that situation? Very infrequently.
You're right. He's throwing to the most wide open wide receivers in the NFL. That's just a fact.
That's the play action. That's the play action scheme. That's what Kyle does because it looks just like their run plays.
So he is playing regardless. Kyle Shanahan is down. So I think we established, right? If he wasn't on the Niners, the Eagles, or the Dolphins, he would look worse to some degree. How bad? I don't know. I don't think he's going to look like Jimmy on the Raiders. I think he'll still be better. Would he
start over CJ Stroud on the Texans?
Well, I think CJ's better than Brock, in my opinion, or at least he's going to be. I feel like that. I do.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he would. No, I don't know. I mean, you got to, if you're talking about a fair, open competition, no, not at all. Especially not if they draft him with the second overall pick. They're not going to do that either. So there's no way they would do that. I guess the question is, would D'Amico want to trade CJ Stroud for Brock? Absolutely not. No. But that doesn't mean it doesn't mean he's bad. He's doing good. He's better than Jimmy.
He's bad. He's good. Right. He's definitely good. And it's like, there's nothing more he could have done yesterday. He was perfect. There's nothing more he could have done yesterday. But that's not the test. Cruising to a win over Tampa and Jacksonville isn't necessarily the test. It's good, though. It's very good. Those defenses are pretty good. Like top 10 in points allowed. Pretty good.
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Because like football is more than just like, what about when you fall behind? That's it. Like sometimes that's bad luck. There could be a turnover that Christian McCaffrey could fumble the ball. There could be a fumble snap. It doesn't even have to do with Brock Purdy, but sometimes you could lose the snap. You could lose the coin toss, or you could win whatever. That you could fall behind 7-0. What happens? That's what happened in 2 weeks.
Overcome it.
Minnesota and Cincinnati fell behind, and they didn't overcome it at all.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a tough task. If he's able to go to Philadelphia and pull off that win, that says a lot about Brock Purdy at this age. Because you can only imagine he's going to get mentally better as time goes on. So that's really going to be a true test. That's going to be a freaking great game, right? He got injured in that game, and everyone says, oh, the 49ers would have won if he would have stayed in. I'm not so sure, honestly, because I feel like Niners are getting their ass kicked in the trenches, regardless of who the quarterback was going to be. It was going to be a rough day. So I'm excited about the Seahawks game on Thursday, but I'm really looking forward to that game against the Eagles because that's going to really tell us who this whole team is, and especially Brock Purdy as well. So, I mean, it's been an exciting season. What he's been done is remarkable. He continues to check boxes, but he has a couple more to check. But he's also very young, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. That conversation made me really anxious. Let's play some prize. Some Prize Picks. What do you say?
All right.
All right. I got some set up for us. I want to ask the audience for some help because sometimes I'm indecisive. So let's go through it. And again, if you want to play along, click the link in the description, use promo code Cohn and get 100% deposit match on your first deposit. So let's start. Christian McCaffrey, it's like a free one. They're very generous at Prize Picks. So if he gets more than half of a rushing yard or receiving yard, we win that one. What do you say? It's like a free square. Should we take it?
I think I'm going to say yes. I think he's going over
Okay.
half a yard.
All right, so the next 6 are for tonight's game, Monday Night Football. Let's play together. Jalen Hurts, rushing TDs, half a rushing TD, more or less. Let's start right there. Is he going to get pushed into the end zone?
Absolutely, yeah. That's a great way to phrase it. Yes, zero question.
I would say yes. Easy over. I'm trying to find the ones that I feel like the easiest winners.
That's easy. No brainer.
Jalen Hurts more for a rushing TD. All right, Patrick Mahomes, 285.5 passing yards. 285.5.
That's a lot.
That's a whole lot against Philly. It's got a really good defense.
I'm going to say no, just because it's so many yards and they're going against Philly. I'm going to say no. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up doing it. But my best guess is going to be say under.
I'm going to say under 2. Like betting on a guy or counting on a guy to go more than 285.5 seems unlikely. I'm going to go less than here. I'm just trying to be smart. Okay, let's go rushing. DeAndre Swift, 58.5 rushing yards. DeAndre Swift against Kansas City.
I'd say under, personally.
I'm going to think under. Kansas City that's the thing that people don't realize about this Kansas City team.
It's different.
Really good defense.
Yep.
That's why I'm picking Kansas City to win the Super Bowl again. I think people discount them because they don't have Tyreek Hill. They already won a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill.
Right.
Exactly. They already did that.
And now they got defense.
I don't think they need. Yeah, they got a defense now.
Yeah. So
let's go. People are saying JM 617 said over. Paris Bell says under. Nick Nice says class action lawsuit coming to the NFL way because of Burrow. People who lost money since he versus Ravens Burrow. That's true, man. They didn't tell people about that.
Yeah,
so this is where the Dick and Duck Kings. All right, let's go less than there. Travis Kelce, 75.5 receiving yards for Travis Kelce. More than or less than
75.5. He'll get like 3 touchdowns and like 25 yards.
3 touchdowns and 25 yards.
That's what he does. They throw to him on the goal line. He scores touchdowns, but he doesn't typically. I mean, sometimes he does, of course, but I would say under 75.5.
Okay, let's see what the chat thinks.
Someone asked me how Antarctica was. It's cold in my office right now, guys. It's cold here. I apologize.
No one wants to make a decision on Travis Kelce. People just making little comments about Taylor Swift. JP says more than.
I got to say
JVC
less than.
says less than. All right, I'm going with Fable. Less. Okay, last one. Yeah. Hassan Reddick, more than a quarter of a sack. So all he needs is half a sack to get this one, more than or less than. Half a sack for Hassan Reddick.
I would probably just say more.
Really? Yeah. I'm going to say less than. Remember the Super Bowl, how they couldn't get to Mahomes? Remember that?
In the Super Bowl, yes. But he does seem to come through in clutch times. But, in the Super Bowl, he did not. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say yes, because to me, whenever I watch Hassan Reddick in primetime situations outside of the Super Bowl, he does. So I would say yes.
He's a great player. I just feel like they got 3 things going for him in Kansas City. 1, great O-line. 2, very mobile quarterback. 3, like the screen god, Andy Reid. The screen god.
Yeah.
Screen god.
I don't know. I'm
gonna go more. I feel like half a sack. Half a sack.
Come on, man.
All right. So here's how it works. $20 to win $440. If I get all 6 correct, 22 times my initial entry. If I get 5 correct, it's 2 times, and if I get 4 correct, it's almost half. So Let's see what happens. It's that easy on Prize Picks. It's a lot of fun. Again, use promo code Cohn, COHN, if you want to play. Get 100% deposit match. Plus price entry. Boom. Prize Picks. I never win, but it's always fun. It's always fun. All right, let's take the stuff down.
Yeah.
And it's not that, it just seems so easy, like more than or less than. Oh, easy choice, I can do it. But then to get 6 right, it's
I
tough.
think the key is 3 for me. That's what I found. When I do
3?
3, I can pretty much do a good job. But when I go over 3, it's like, okay, now I'm pushing. And then I get excited, like they tempt you. Like if you go 5, you win this much. And so that's how they get you. You got to kind of like
That's how they get you.
self-control.
But they're very generous too. They gave us like a free one with Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
That was nice. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if they had like the Thursday night football stuff for the Niners already, but it's like, what more are you going to add? Like, let's get Monday Night Football.
Yeah. It's going to be a great
know what I
week.
mean?
This game tonight is going to be amazing. I'm going to be eyes peeled watching this thing.
Definitely. All right. Talanoa Hufanga definitely does have a torn ACL. Terrible. He had a knee injury coming into the year. Baker's cyst. I don't know if he was playing hurt. He didn't quite seem like himself. Kyle Shanahan said he hit a lull the last few weeks during the losing streak. Now they got Jair Brown, who was their top pick this year. They traded up for him. He looked good in the fourth quarter. He gave up that one long catch. Then he made up for it with 3 tackles, 3 pass breakups, and a pick. I mean, really, I'm going to ask you a question in a second, I promise. But like the Niners were folding, literally folding, and he made the plays in the end zone twice to close the door. The Niners didn't slam the door shut on the Bucs. Jair Brown slammed the door shut in the Bucs. If I'm not being too reductionist here, that's the way I saw it. Yeah. Huge plays in the end zone. How do you feel about him replacing Huff down the stretch? Because that's what's going to happen.
I actually feel really good about it now. Clarify, I feel horrible about Huff. Huff's one of my favorite players on this team, to be honest. I just love his personality, love his attitude. Seems like the nicest guy ever. I loved how he played last year. It hasn't been the same this year. Maybe this knee thing. Somebody I was reading, I don't know. I want to talk to maybe the doc Parav or Narav Pandya and ask him his opinion. But that Baker cyst, somebody said that Baker cyst could be tied to that ACL. And if they just chose to play him and they knew that was a risk, that's bad. So I'm hoping that's not the case and it's just a random accident. But anyways, it just sucks, man, Huff, because I really like him. That being said, I think Brown could be just as good as that guy. I just have a feeling about him. And what I saw yesterday, what I've seen in college, watching the tape, they're very similar. And Brown I don't want to talk bad on Huff going through this injury, but I will say Brown looks really freaking good, man. I like him. Yeah.
So here's what you can expect from Brown. He had 10 picks in college. So this is sort of what he did yesterday wasn't a fluke. Also, his final year at Penn State when he was a senior, he had 4.5 sacks. And you've seen that Steve Wilkes wants to blitz his safeties. He blitzes Talanoa Hufanga a lot. Yeah. But he didn't draft Talanoa Hufanga. He inherited Talanoa Hufanga. And Talanoa isn't quite the blitzer that Brown is, I don't think. I think Talanoa Hufanga kind of falls off those tackles a little bit. And now you're going to see maybe a more aggressive Steve Wilkes with his safety. You think you're going to see Jair Brown make more plays just in general, but also behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I just like what I see from him. He just seems like a ball hawk, and Talanoa is too, to be fair. I just don't think there's going to be a drop off. I just get that feeling. I could be wrong, obviously. Been wrong a couple of times before, once or twice in my life. But when I watch Jair Brown, I see somebody that's actually similar to Huff, and there's some things that I like better. What I don't think is going to happen is a big drop off. Now, maybe the learning process of it, just understanding the defense, understanding NFL scheme, all of that might be a little bit behind Huff in that regard, because there was a time where Huff seemed like a half second slower than you would want him. And then that was his first year. And then his second year, that all disappeared, that all dissipated. And I think that was mostly just because Huff relies on his mind and his instinct more than his speed. And Jair Brown's not the fastest guy either. So you could see a Huff that was similar to rookie year somewhere, but I think it's going to be a cross between Huff rookie year, Huff second year is what we're going to see from him. I think Jair Brown's going to be a solid replacement, and I don't think there's going to be a huge drop off outside of a couple blown coverages here and there.
I'm looking at the stats on Pro Football Reference. According to them, Talanoa Hufanga in his career has blitzed 52 times. According to them. Seems like more. 52 times, 2 sacks in his career. So he's not that much of a weapon in that way. People, he's compared to Troy Polamalu. They worked as his mentor. Troy Polamalu was a big-time sack guy. He made all kind of plays behind the line of scrimmage. If you people remember, he would jump over the line of scrimmage, like time the snap. He did crazy stuff. That's not necessarily Talanoa. It might be Jair Brown. Jair Brown seems like he could do more of that.
I think people have the tendency. People have the tendency to call people like, "Oh, he's Samoan. He's Samoan." They're the same. They're really not.
No,
just because they're Samoan doesn't mean they're the same player.
And they know each other, and they went to USC.
Right. Oh, same guy. They long hair. They both could be in head and shoulder. No, they're different players. So I understand that he's trained by him, and they know each other, but they're not the same player. I mean, you're talking about a Hall of Fame caliber player versus Huff, and he's not.
We're in like a 4-3 first-round pick. Great player.
Yeah, we don't need to bring him up in that conversation yet. Maybe he'll get there. But I think Jair Brown, man, from what I've seen from him in college, I'll be honest, I don't watch a ton of college football. I am now because I'm not coaching anymore, basketball. And so I'm able to watch more college football on Saturdays, and I've been watching it. But when they drafted Jair Brown, I didn't really know much about him. So I went back and watched the tape. And after I watched it, I was really excited about what I saw from him. So I'm excited to see it play out. I'm not glad it comes at the expense of an injury to Huff, but I think Jair Brown has something there. He looks like a franchise caliber player. Like he'll be here for a long time.
I agree. It's going to be interesting to see which one of them starts next year, or if they start next to each other. It's possible they will.
Which is weird though, because I've heard you say, and I agree that they're more similar than they are, right? He's more like Huff than he is like Gibson. So starting together, I think that was the plan originally, but I don't really see that in my head.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Part of me wonders if they were planning on trading Hufanga at some point and not re-signing him if he got too expensive. But now that may not be an issue. Sorry, Huff.
I think they drafted him to replace Gibson, but I don't think that's who he is.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's who he is either. Bryant Culp says Jake Moody is legit. He's going to break your heart. I'm sorry. Yeah, he might be. Funny Box 5544 says, yeah, but Baker could have thrown another pick in the red zone if Dre Greenlaw caught no Grant. It's true. It's true. He could have. Josh Wyatt says, why try so hard to make Eli happen? He's not better than Mason. Even if they establish him, he'll just get injured right as they start to rely on him. I think that's a great question. And let's get into it. Why does Kyle Shanahan want to play Elijah Mitchell over Jordan Mason? I'm going to answer this question first, real quick.
Go ahead.
I think it's a scheme thing. Elijah Mitchell fits the outside zone. He's faster. He's smaller. He gets to the edge better than Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is an excellent running back, but he's more of an inside zone between the tackles guy. He doesn't have that burst to the edge. If you call an outside zone run, he's going to cut it back real quick, which is effective. But I feel like I'm not sure how he got on this team. He just doesn't quite fit what Kyle wants to do, even though he's really good at what he does. And he'd be phenomenal on the Eagles. He'd be great in the gun running between the tackles with Jalen Hurts. Be so good. And I think the Niners know it, and they just sort of like have him there because he'd be really good on other teams, but they're like, we don't really want to use him like that. We want to run our scheme. So he's kind of like square peg in a round hole, Jordan Mason.
Well, I mean, all that being said, though, so everyone was like, oh, look at Elijah Mitchell, 6 yards per carry yesterday on 4 carries. That's great. Jordan Mason has been doing that since he got here.
Yeah, it's true.
So, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what? Okay, I'm glad Elijah Mitchell had a good day. I really am. But Jordan Mason's been doing that since he got here.
It's all scheme, though. It's all about scheme and preference and style to me.
It's got to be something that's losing what the case is, right, with Kyle when he makes his decision.
Scheme and preference and style. He could say, I'm scared because Jordan Mason fumbled a couple times in practice, but like, I don't know. Am I supposed to believe that Elijah Mitchell's never fumbled in a practice? Jordan Mason hasn't fumbled in a game. So I don't think that's fair. Maybe it's just seniority. I don't know. Kyle could be a little nostalgic with his running back depth chart. Lest we forget that Tevin Coleman was a starter for this team for way longer than he should have been.
I was just thinking about Tevin Coleman. Yeah. And here's the other thing too. A lot of fans, people say it's because of pass protection. Well, since when is pass protection a big concern for Kyle Shanahan? So I don't think it's that. I think it's more of a scheme thing, right? If pass protection was a huge concern, McKivitz wouldn't be the right
let's stick with that,
tackle,
right? It's like if he can't do pass protection, if he can't run routes, then he can't be in on pass plays. And when he's on the field, defenses know it's a run. Okay, well, they still can't stop him.
Every time he's running the ball, it's at the end of the game when they know he's going to run anyways, and he averages 6 yards per carry.
Okay, exactly. So who cares if they know a run? Even better that they know a run is coming. I think stuff like that in sports is cool. When you can tell the opponent what's coming, they still can't stop it.
Right.
When I played JV baseball, we had this one pitcher who did that one time, fall ball. He was just, you ever see pitchers like before the inning, they're like telling the catcher what's coming with their hand. It's like ball. He did that during the inning to the batter. It's like, hey, fastball, slider. Savage. I love stuff like that, man. Like, I'm telling you what's coming. You can't stop it. What are you going to do?
They haven't been able to stop Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason at all. The guy is so talented. I feel like find a place for Elijah, fine. Find a place for Jordan Mason because the guy is freaking talented, man. Mix it up. Okay, do 50-50. Whatever you're going to give Elijah Mitchell, give him half of that and give half to Jordan Mason to his strengths, right? Good coaches work into the strengths of their talent, right?
Jordan Mason is a holdover of the Trey Lance era. You know what I'm saying?
Him and Danny Gray.
Well, yeah. They thought they were going to be transitioning to more of a Philadelphia Eagles style offense with a dual threat quarterback and zone read and running backs going between the tackles. So they drafted Trey Sermon, who went to the Eagles before he ended up being, washing out. And Jordan Mason's like the good version of Trey Sermon. He's meant to be in the shotgun, in the pistol, running zone read with Trey Lance. Trey Lance is gone. Now you're back to the under center outside zone stuff. That's McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, and frankly, not Jordan Mason, even though he's still good. He's still good, but in Kyle's mind, he doesn't fit. And he would have to change too much to get him on the field. And it's easier to just go with Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey. So that's what's happening, I think. It's just not laziness, but just efficiency. I'm not going to build a new offense for Jordan Mason unless I have to. I'm sticking with the McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell offense.
You're right. Mitchell is closer to CMC than Mason is. They're not even similar at all.
They run a lot of the same runs.
Yeah,
perimeter.
That makes sense. It's basically CMC Jr. for Kyle. Like I can run the same stuff with Elijah that I can run.
I don't have to switch up too much.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you're right about that. I think
so. Yeah. So I hope to answer your question.
Not because you questioned him, though, right? Not because you questioned him in the press conference.
Nah, I don't think so. Everyone was laughing about that during the game, and I tweeted about it. But honestly, Elijah Mitchell's the number 2 running back. He's going to get at least one series. It was funny that it was the 3rd series of the game. It felt like an in-your-face type moment, but nah, he was going to get a series eventually. Surprised he didn't get 2.
Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can y'all do a poll? Does Brock deserve a raise? He can't get one until after next year.
He definitely deserves one. Yeah.
Michael says, Grant, am I a hater for thinking Brock's play is all camouflage? Until I see Herbert's numbers each season, he's healthy. I'm not sold. It concerns me our coach relies more on CMC than our quarterback's arm. It's early in his career. He's on the best team. It's fair to be a little skeptical. I made a living of being a little skeptical. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think he's a really good quarterback, but I'm not going to buy his jersey or, something like that. I still want to.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong in just saying I want to see. There's been 18 games from the guy, right? People question.
I feel the same way about Jalen Hurts. I feel the same way about Jalen Hurts.
Right. You got to see more.
I want to see more.
People act like I was the only one that questioned Brock Purdy's arm strength. His biggest supporters that cover this team were questioning Brock Purdy's arm strength all last year. We didn't get to see a lot of it. There was a lot of dink and dunk last year. This year it's changing and it's evolving, and therefore my opinion of him is changing. I think that's pretty rational and normal. I don't know why people think, oh, we got to make a decision. You got to be all in on or all out on Brock Purdy right now. Like, no, you don't have to. You can just wait and see what happens. That's an option as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably smart. Paris Bell 2, new member. Thank you. Joshua Wyatt. Baker has 3 outstanding weapons and the best left tackle in football by PFF. No, he doesn't have 3 outstanding weapons. He has Rashad White's an outstanding weapon. Chris Godwin's an outstanding weapon.
He has Mike Evans.
I don't even think Mike Evans. Mike Evans is 30 something.
He's very solid, but he's not in his prime anymore.
I don't know. I was there. I didn't see elite weapons in Tampa yesterday. I thought I saw a vanilla offense with some kind of over-the-hill weapons and a team that needs to completely rebuild. What are they doing? They're holding on to that staff because they won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Like, let it go.
I mean, how many all-pros are on the 49ers offense? Is it 4, 5? 5 all-pros on the 49ers offense, right?
It's also the best run D in the league. Ask TB fans. They will tell you that the quarterback play was a difference in that game.
Okay.
I mean, I thought Baker kept Tampa in that game. He made some incredible throws into tight coverage that Brock didn't have to make.
Brock played amazing. It's okay to say Brock played amazing, but also acknowledge he's on a great team in a great situation. He doesn't have to be one or the other. Everybody's so hot and cold. You either love him or you hate him. He either won the game for you or he's trash. Like it's okay to have some context and be in a medium and just be patient. That's all okay.
I mean, Tampa has the second worst pass defense in the league. That is true. Jack's Fat Boy 65 says used Iggy game time. First game will be Seattle at SF. I like it. Use that game time ad, baby. Paris Bell II says it's crazy how we cover that big ass spread and we're talking about the Niners having a baddest game. Well, Brown looks so much bigger. Brown looks good. I predict the Niners will win 31-13, so I'm not impressed. Mark Jacobs 69 says is Brock still a dink and dunk? Ryan/Grant.
Mark, you've been calling me the king of dink and dunk in this chat the entire show. I talked about it. I appreciate you calling me a king, though.
Iglet and Ryan G stop being reasonable and just crown now, just king now.
Yeah,
thank you, brother Bob.
Apparently,
thank you, brother Bob. All right, Niners play the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. We were trying to take the Seahawks seriously for a while. They were 5-2.
Yeah.
Now they're 6-4, and they just lost to the Rams, which they do a lot. Yeah. They tend to lose to the Rams somehow, and then they play the Niners tough. I don't know, man. What are you thinking about Seattle in this matchup here in Seattle?
It's a division game, just like the Rams and the Seahawks game was. I actually had it as a loss before the season. I thought going to Seattle, playing in Seattle on a short week, based on how Seattle looked last year, I figured there'd be some improvement this year. I don't necessarily think I see improvement. I think they're about the same as they were last year. I think the Niners have improved. Originally, I thought this was going to be a loss for the 49ers. Now I see it as a win. And I don't think it's honestly going to be that hard. I really don't. I think the hardest thing about it is going to be a divisional game, right? NFC West game opponent that knows us, and it's in Seattle. But as far as like the team, if they played Seattle in a neutral field, right, to me, right now, if they played them in Seattle in a neutral field, the Niners would win 8 out of 10 times. That's how I see this matchup. Only thing they got going for them is it's in Seattle, and it's a divisional opponent, and they kind of know them. But outside of that, I don't think I'm not worried about them.
There's the fact that Geno Smith has an injury. Like, he's questionable. He may not even play. And if he does play, he may not be 100% healthy. But even if he were 100% healthy, I feel like the only reason Niner fans are still like scared about the Seahawks or have PTSD is because of Russell Wilson. Niner fans knew no matter what that team was going through, Russell Wilson like had their number. I think he lost 3 times to that. I think he's 18-3 against the Niners in his career. I think that's correct. And that includes his game with the Broncos against the Niners. So Geno's 0-3. He's already lost as many games against the Niners in one season that Russell Wilson has his entire career.
Right.
I don't think the Niners are scared of Geno Smith. I don't think Geno Smith is scared of Geno Smith. I don't think anyone. I'm sorry. I think the Seahawks have tried to talk themselves into making the right decision to get rid of Russell Wilson and bring in Geno, but like they're not as good without Russell. No. I'm sorry. They're not as good.
And I think Walker is hurt as well. So he'll be out of the game.
Not sure.
That was a battle. That game was a battle. They didn't get a rest players in that game. They were fighting the Rams until the end. Low scoring affair, a lot of defense there. They're going to be beat up more than the 49ers are going to be.
They scored 16 points against the Rams. Dude. Can you imagine what we would say about Brock Purdy and the 49ers if they scored 16 points against the Rams?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah,
you can't take this team seriously, man. They have their overall net points is -2 this year. -2.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They're -2, right? They've given up more points than they scored despite their plus 500 record. Whereas the Niners is
that to me tells me that's a lucky team that is going to regress. It is regressing. To the
they're either barely beating teams or getting stomped, right? Or I guess they lost a
As
close
opposed to the
one.
Niners, who are either stomping teams or barely getting beat.
Right, exactly. It's the
Yeah.
opposite. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great Thanksgiving for Niner fans, and I'm really looking forward to this game. Get a little retribution for watching them eat turkey on a Thanksgiving. I forget what year that was. Sherman Williams. Yeah,
Richard Sherman.
Richard
That was
Sherman.
2014.
Who the hell is Sherman Williams? Where did I get that name from? I don't know. Richard Sherman.
Isn't that like a paint?
It's a paint.
Paint.
Yes.
Sherman
That's
Williams.
a paint. Sherman Williams paint. Yeah. Richard Sherman eating turkey on the field. I think we get to see the Niners do that this year. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good game. Great game tonight. Great game on Thursday.
I made a bet with my dad. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. In the preseason, I picked the Seahawks to win the division. And my dad was like, "You're wrong." I was like, "No, I'm right." And I was like fighting back, and I made a
bottle of wine.
That the Niners are going to win their first matchup against Seattle and Seattle. So I don't think I'm going to actually pick the Niners to win this game, but I picked them to win it before the season and put wine on it. So sorry.
What kind of wine do you drink? I'm curious. I know you guys bet wine often. What kind do you guys drink? Like not brand,
red,
but like
red. No, I know.
red.
I think this one's going to be like a Beaujolais. So a French red that's a little bit lighter. It's not a Burgundy, which is mostly Pinot, or a Bordeaux, which is mostly Cab and Merlot. It's just a Gamay, which is a lighter. It's a lighter drink. You don't age it as long. It's nice. It's less alcohol, usually 12%.
Do you go to Napa with the wife?
I don't go to Napa that much. I much more a Sonoma side kind of guy.
I've never been wine tasting. Do you believe that? From Northern California, never been.
I don't think you'd like it.
Why?
I don't know, man. Maybe you would. I just feel like it's kind of pretentious and bougie, and you might.
Yeah.
I like to go with my I like to bring my dad because he goes full journalist. He starts asking hella questions, and he's really interested.
Yeah.
Like usually the person who's pouring gets into it with him, and they're like, we gotta bring out the reserve stuff. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so he seems like a great person to go wine tasting with because he probably knows his
he's
stuff. I don't know anything about it. I know Carlos Rossi.
That top of the line wine.
Yeah, Carlos
Rossi. Top of the line wine. Yeah, Carlo
Boone's
Rossi,
Farm?
isn't it?
Boone's Farm.
There you go.
I don't know if it's Carlo. I call it Carlo.
I think it's Carlo. I know E40 called it Carlos, but I think that's probably like a branding thing.
One time, I don't know if I should tell this story, but one time I went to Sac State after high school, college party, and someone dared me to drink an entire jug of Carlos Rossi in 5 minutes. And I did, and I don't remember anything. I just remember waking up in my house. Somehow I got home.
Glad you woke up. That's not good. Kids, don't do that. That's not good.
Never do that.
I'm not going to tell you what I did in college along those lines. Get initiated into the fraternity that I never lived in. Lucky Rosario, because that's against the rules. You can't be telling people what you did.
Right.
All the hazy stuff. It's against the rules. Lucky Rosario, we didn't do anything. It was wholesome. Niners would only lose if Jimmy was still the quarterback.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What's he doing these days? Josh Wyatt says, I'm tired of weapons system talk on Brock. People act like the 10,000 teams in history of the NFL never had system or weapons, 115 quarterback rating. Man, you sold.
Is it
it's
okay,
not just
Josh,
the weapons, it's the defense.
Is it okay? Defense. Is it okay to say they have good weapons, a good system, and a good quarterback? Is it okay to say all those things, or just it's all Brock Purdy?
I mean, the fact that he tanked when he lost 2 guys on offense kind of speaks to what we're talking about, right? Like, if he were just that good and the 115 quarterback rating spoke for itself, then he would have not lost to PJ Walker. He would have not lost by 14 to the Bengals, who then lost to the Texans. I don't know. I think it's fair to be a little skeptical and instead of being like Josh, who I love over here, and being like, boom, 115 rating in the story.
He could be.
What's his rating? He's losing.
Maybe they're all 3 good. Josh.
Scribe Mine says Brock was upgraded to a superstar badge in Madden, so he's a made man. Is that true? Debate is over. The real question is, what do we do with this old roster that won't fit Brock's championship window? start to make it a little younger, yo.
Bro,
Like,
won't fit Brock's
you know,
championship window, meaning
yeah.
they're gonna get old before he's ready to win a championship.
Well, I
That's
mean, they're just not gonna. If Brock's the real deal, his championship window is just opening while some of these guys' championship windows closing. Trent Williams, George Kittle, maybe not George.
I mean, the thing is, look at like Patrick Mahomes, right? They they had to pay him, and therefore they lost a lot of weapons, but then he won a Super Bowl, and because he's a great quarterback. So Brock Purdy is that same type of great elite quarterback, then it's a non-issue.
All he needed was Jerick McKinnon. He's fine. He's good. Brother Bob, can we just rename Levi's to BP and put a statue up? I think it's time. We sign in a vet safety. Will we sign JV still? Yeah, I hadn't heard. I guess that should happen. What, tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I hope.
Yeah,
I want to see Jason Verrett be the Super Bowl MVP. That a great story that would be.
That would be quite cool. Quite cool. That's the show. Monday morning show. Thanks for watching, everyone. Ryan Hensley, Grant Cohn. Make sure you subscribe to Ryan's channel. It was demonetized for a while, but it's back now. It's back now.
Yeah, back at it. Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later.